Hi there. How are you, Jody? I'll unmute you really quick. Let's see. Or can you unmute yourself maybe? Can you hear me okay? Just give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. Perfect. Awesome. Yay. I'm so excited. So we have everybody muted when they hop in just to cut out on the background noise, but I am going to pull up our notes. Let's see here. Hi, Anthony. So you guys are all, let's see, I'm just unmute you guys for now. Okay, you guys should be unmuted now. When everybody hops on, I'll probably unmute or mute everybody again.
Okay.
But just to cut out on background noise. But are you guys having a good Monday so far?
Yes.
So far, so good.
Yes.
Good. My name's Samantha. I'm Samantha Huber. I know my thing says Heather right now, but that's because I'm using my Zoom account doesn't have unlimited meetings, and so it's going to be longer. So Heather was kind enough to let me use her account.
Okay. I just need 1 minute and I will be right back.
Yeah, for sure.
But I have the audio on and everything, so I'm all good. Okay, thanks.
Perfect. So we can give a few minutes to let everybody filter in who's going to join us. How are you, Shane?
This is Dawn Marie. Sorry, my husband.
Oh, that's okay. Hi, Dawn. Hi, Jessica. Awesome. So we'll hang out. I want to make sure that we have everybody on that we are going to be answering questions for. So this will probably be on, we have four direct questions that we're going to answer that you guys responded back to. And then if we have time at the end, we can do a little bit of Q&A. But we plan on spending around 10 to 12 minutes or so on each one of your all's questions that you submitted. And then add anything at the end if we have time. I wanted to spend about an hour with you guys. If anybody has any questions, if we have time in the end, we can do that as well. So, Brooke, should we wait a few more minutes, or should we go ahead and, I know, is Lindsay Deer on here yet?
I don't see her.
Because she was going to go first, but if not, we can just skip to Jessica. Maybe we'll wait like another minute or so, Brooke, and then start. What do you think?
Yeah, let's wait just like a minute and see if she hops on.
Perfect.
Actually, what's kind of cool, Jessica, because you're on here, and we've been chatting, your question, I actually was gonna, with Lindsay's question that she has, which I know you don't know what that is yet, but I was gonna kind of direct that to you in a way, because I feel like the stuff you and I have talked about and what you've been doing and taking action on, she could definitely learn from. And so I would like for Lindsay to hop on, but we'll see if she is able to or not.
This bad boy was ready too. Yeah, I was able to cut it open.
Hello.
Hi, Angela.
We can't watch it right now. I guess he's watching it.
It's so fun to see everybody's faces.
I know. I'm going to go ahead and mute everybody, except for, well, Brooke, do you just want to start with Jessica?
Yeah.
Okay. So Jessica, we'll unmute you, and then if more people hop on.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello, Jessica. How are you?
I'm good. I'm
awesome. That's perfect. I'm so glad you're here. When I saw your name pop up that we had a question from you, I was already excited because we've been texting back and forth, and we have a call scheduled, and I'm so pumped for that. But and so I knew already reading your question that that we had kind of talked a little bit about the stuff already, but I know that we can go over it and everyone else will benefit from it too. But Jessica said, I know myself, after the craziness is over and we're on the swing of things behind the chair, how do we stick to our schedules? After picking myself up after a burnout a year ago, I want to be able to hold myself accountable to the boundaries of my schedule that I have set. I fear that everyone will expect to get in, and I'll revert back to squeezing in everybody and working 12-hour days, which is, number one, you are not alone in that.
I know.
But first off, because we've talked a little bit more in depth on this. So
Right.
Jessica has been not behind the chair for a little while, and is going back to being behind the chair. And basically what she's saying in here, and I only know a little bit more about this because of our conversations we've had, but you want to do things differently than what you used to do behind the chair, and you want to operate differently. And I think a big focus is setting some very, very clear boundaries, like with you and your guests and what you want to do there. For me, first off, I think, well, I'm just going to say it. It's so hard. It really is, to, especially when you're doing it all by yourself, to say that you're going to hold yourself accountable. Is it possible? Yes. Is it easier with a team of people behind you to hold you to that? Absolutely. I think I really do think that would be my biggest advice for you, is to find a people, or even a person, or someone who helps you stick to that. I think another thing that I would say, I'm just kind of like, I looked at these before, but I'm like mulling in real time. I think another big part of that is really focusing on why you want these things to be different this time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and having a really strong why. And I know that people can be like, that sounds cheesy, but it's real. If you have a really strong why as to why you want things to be different this time, or maybe why you want them to be different, because you can really remember how you felt when they were not what you want, and that really hits you hard. I think if you really can stay focused to that why and have a group around you that supports you, you'll have an easier time saying, no, these are my boundaries, because I think you're going to feel that you not only are saying more yeses to you and taking care of yourself, because I'm sure that's kind of what felt like was being neglected whenever
For sure.
it wasn't happening. And I think sometimes too, even it could be just us, but it can also be our families or other parts of your life that are affected by us not setting boundaries. I just know for me personally, when I started thinking of it, because I've felt the exact same things as you. I really have in my business at one point or another. And I think, number one, the support I had and the accountability to hold me to that with the people I surrounded myself with made a huge difference. But I also think that I just kept feeling and feeling really deeply and trying to remind myself, like, okay, I'm not only affected by me not setting any boundaries, I'm missing out on my niece's birthday parties or my lake trips with my family, which that's just me personally. It looks different for every person, but those things mean a lot to me. And so I was remembering that, okay, if I keep saying yes, yes, yes to my clients, doesn't mean whenever you say no to something like that, it doesn't mean you don't care about them. You can care about them with your whole dang heart, but saying yes to you is also putting yourself high on your list, which is very, very, very important.
Yeah.
So that was a big roundabout way to get to that, but Sam, you hop
I'm
in.
going to add some stuff to that too.
Yes.
I think that Jessica, when Brooke said like, you need to focus on your why, I think that is like the number one thing, and not even with setting boundaries, right? It's with doing anything. It could be wanting to start a new business. It could be wanting to start a workout plan. It could be wanting to, learn a second language. It could be anything that we decide that we want to do that's different than what we're already doing, especially when that something new is something that's difficult for us, or we're not really sure how to get there, right? And so if you can find your why, because this is what's going to happen, and this is what happens for all of us. It happens for me. It happens for every single person on this call. When we decide that we're going to start doing something new, we have two parts in our brain. One is your primitive brain, which is like the oldest part of your brain that we've all had since caveman times. It's in the very back of your brain. Then you have this other part. It's your executive brain. That's your prefrontal cortex. It helps you make decisions. When you are going back to work and you're setting these new boundaries, your primitive brain is going to be yelling at you so loud to continue doing what you're doing, because all the primitive brain wants to do is what's easiest, what's the least amount of energy that you're going to have to expend, and it's very good at doing what it already knows how to do. And so when you start to see yourself wanting to slip back into those old habits of saying yes to picking up an extra guest, squeezing in 12 people a day, working on the weekends, skipping family vacations, all of this stuff, your primitive brain is, even though that's not really what you want, and you know that, but you still continue to do it. That is why. And so when you go back behind the chair, and for any of us, when we have this new schedule right now that we're not working, it's like we're all having to do these new things. When you just start to become a watcher of your thoughts, when you have that decision to make on whether to say yes or whether to say no, remind yourself, is this supporting my why? Is this supporting what I want? And if you can just start to practice that awareness, you're going to get a lot better at deciding things with your executive brain over your primitive brain. And eventually you'll do that enough that will become a habit that the primitive brain wants to support, because you've overrode this. I know that gets a little bit psychological.
No, makes sense.
Stuff, but it's, and just give yourself grace, right? I mean, like, I have told myself I've been in my house for the last 3 weeks that I was going to start working out like 3 weeks ago. And I just worked out on my patio for the first time yesterday. And it's because it's just easy, because I was going to the gym every morning and that was my habit. And now that I couldn't go to the gym, it's like, I'm not going to wake up and work out of my house, because I didn't want to. My why wasn't strong enough until finally yesterday I was sitting on my couch and I was like, you need to get up, because my why was strong enough, right? It was motivated me enough. And this is the thing about being motivated and then disciplined. You're motivated right now to go back and have structure and boundaries behind the chair. You're motivated.
For sure.
There are going to be days where you're not motivated at all. And that is when discipline overrides motivation every single time. Discipline is doing the thing that you said that you were going to do, even when no part of your body, no cell in your body, no anything in your mind wants to do it, and you make yourself do it anyway because you said that's what you were going to do. And when we can do that, anytime that we say that we're going to do something and then we don't do it, our brain remembers that. And our brain, we're basically teaching our brain not to trust what we say, or that we're not taking it seriously. And so every time that we say that we're going to do something, it could be anything. It could be, pay $500 on a credit card this month, and then you don't do it. And your brain's like, next time that you say that, it's like we don't believe ourselves. And so when you commit to do something, remember that and just say, I said that I was going to do this. Remember, like Brooke said, remember your why. And then also, like she said, like Brooke said too, if you can surround yourself with people that will hold you accountable. Brooke texted me this morning and she was like, hey, I'm starting this Beachbody 10-day workout. Can you just check in with me every few days and ask me how it's going to keep me accountable? And I was like, absolutely. So if you can surround yourself with people that, whether it's an accountability buddy, whether it's, us at Pip University, another mentor or coach or anything like that, that will help you too, because we are so much more likely to let ourselves down first before we will let somebody else down.
I agree. I agree. So 100%. And thank you for all of that. I appreciate it.
Do you have any questions on that? Anything else?
Not so much as questions. It's just like because of the self-awareness. And the reason for that question is because is that I had so many bad habits that led me to walk away a year ago. And that because I was done. I was, 20 some years into it and I was just done. I was burnt out and I couldn't find the joy in it anymore.
Mhm.
So I fear going back to it because of circumstances, going back to the, which I'm excited to get back to doing hair because I have a love of hair. I have a love of people, but I know all of those bad habits that are easy to sink right back in, especially since, I'm finding that a majority of my clients are coming back.
Yeah.
So I have those same people that are so used to being the old Jessica that they took advantage of, that I fear that it'll be easy for me to just revert back to that Jessica that I've tried really hard this last year to grow from. So
I
but
do.
thank
I
you.
want to add to that just a little bit with that, because I feel like of what we talked about. I also know in your question, I just feel like there's a little bit of the fear, which I understand a little bit with, because I'm in the mindset of that I am going to have to reschedule all of my clients yet and try to get them in an order that makes sense from this last month that I haven't been. And I'm even fighting, I really am internally, the sticking to a lot of my boundaries, but also stretching them a little because of a certain situation.
Mhm.
Now, I know with you, there probably is a fear a little involved that, well, number one, let me say this. It's incredible that a lot of your guests, and you've told me that, you've reached out to them. They haven't been to you for a year, and they're saying, yeah, I want to schedule an appointment right now. That in itself is incredible, and you should be really excited about that. But I also want to remind you this. A lot of times when we think, oh my gosh, that one guest, especially with you going back into this, you want to get everybody in like ASAP. Especially because that's what you always used to do is just run like a mad
Oh,
woman.
yeah.
Yes. But those people who are wanting to come see you, think about this too. They've either gone somewhere else or totally not done anything with their hair for a year, which is wild. But they want to say yes to you when you're reaching out to them. After a year's time, they will wait for the appointment, and because they value you. They really, really do. But I know that we can say that all day long. We have to really like practice that. That's where a lot of those mind practices come in that we do in the mornings that really strengthen how we feel about ourselves and what we think. But I'm telling you that because I understand the same thing. It's a different scenario, but it's the same that I'm trying to figure out, how am I going to continue my boundaries and not get to the point that I'm almost bitter towards my guests going back into this because I'm just freaking, going in guns a-blazing. And so I love your enthusiasm with it, but I want to remind you that too. I know I'm like, it's like a pep talk, but I'm serious. They are saying yes right now after that long. They value the heck out of you. They will wait a week longer to get their hair done. And I want to remind you this too. If they do not, we will gracefully let them go because there will be others who will. And I was thinking about that as the more I heard you talk. So I wanted to tell you that too. But
Well, thank you.
yeah,
So,
of course.
I'm excited to work more with you in our call too. So
I'm really excited.
I've got a whole lot of issues that we do not need to share on today's call.
Girlfriend, we will go over every single one of those babies. And I bet there's not as many as you think. I'm here for you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jessica.
Thanks, Sam.
Okay, so next up in the hot seat, just kidding, it's not a hot seat, is Anthony. So
Hi.
I loved your question because this is something that I have struggled with my entire life. Well, I don't struggle with it anymore as much,
No.
sort of, but in my early 20s, mid 20s, this was something that I don't know how I had kept a job because for real. So Anthony's question, he said, one of my biggest opportunities is being on time and timeliness. And are you talking about being behind the chair, like in your appointments, or just like
Yes.
in general?
Yeah, both.
Both. Okay.
Both.
Okay. And then you said, I know I need to time block my mornings and stick to it, but I always seem to try to do too much. Next thing I know, I'm late and I tend to run behind the chair as well. What are your thoughts and practices to eliminate this weakness in my life? Thanks, and let me know what you think. So one, I want you to not look at it as a weakness, right? That is a sign that you are creative and that you are a go-getter and an overachiever. It's not a bad thing to be any of those things. It's not a weakness. It's just knowing how to use that to your advantage. You know what I mean? So I'm going to speak to time blocking your mornings and thoughts and practices that can help you get that under control. And then I'm going to let Brooke speak to staying on time behind the chair. But they're probably both going to be kind of similar. So I love time blocking is something that we talk about in PIP University all the time. And that is working on a digital calendar. And for those of you guys who aren't familiar with the term time blocking, it's basically taking a digital calendar like your iPhone calendar that's on your phone, or Google has a great calendar that you can use. And you basically look at your week, or you could do it a day at a time. I do mine in a week at a time. And you look at everything that you have going on, doctor's appointments, you need to go to the gym, you need to do laundry, you need to have a meeting with your inventory person, you have to, color some hand type, like all the stuff that you have to do other than like being behind the chair and taking guests, because that should be already time blocked in your software program. So it's really looking at all of the other things that you have going on in your life. And it's creating blocks of time on your calendar for when you're going to be doing those things. So for me, a lot of times I would just have a rant before I got acclimated to a time management app called Asana is what I use. And then time blocking digitally. I had a paper Erin Condren or a Lily Pulitzer planner that I would carry around with me everywhere, and a pencil. And I would just write down my to-do list and pencil in that planner. Ask me how many times I either didn't do something, missed a deadline, didn't show up to something on time because it was in that paper planner and I didn't know what page I wrote it on, or it was in the backseat of my trunk with a Chick-fil-A bag and an old milkshake. Like so many times. And so what happens when we time block is you get everything that you have to do, but it's not just a to-do list, right? We all have a mental to-do list of what we know what to do. That's one step. That's awesome if you have a to-do list of at least knowing everything that you have going on. But where we seem to get stuck is, when are we going to work on all that stuff? Like when are we going to have the time? When are we going to create the time? And so time blocking really helps you hold yourself accountable to know what you have to do. So Anthony, for you said, I know I need to time block my mornings and stick to it. So it's like, if there's a routine in the morning that you want to stick to, maybe that's, you work out, you read for a little bit, you check your email, you check in with staff's numbers, anything that you have to do for work before you actually go in. It's maybe you want to meditate, maybe it's you want to sit on your porch and have a cup of coffee or tea. It could be anything, whatever that routine looks like for you. Figure out how much time that is going to take you. Maybe it's going to take you an hour. And when you wake up in the morning, you need to, first of all, wake up on time, right? Like that's a huge thing. It's like, if I oversleep, my morning I have to readjust things because I have a specific amount of time set in the morning for me to get those things done. I call it my morning ritual. And if I oversleep, it bleeds in, it messes up my whole day. So figure out how much time you want to dedicate to that and set yourself up for success, right? Go to sleep when you need to go to sleep so that you can wake up at 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. or 7 a.m., whatever time it is. Make sure that you wake up when you're supposed to wake up. And it's kind of just like what we told Jessica. It's like overriding that primitive brain and understanding, why is this important to you? Why do you want to block your mornings out? Is it to not moving into the day with so much anxiety? Is it, not feeling overwhelmed, like you have so much to do and you can't catch up? And it's like using that why to help you do the things that are going to not make you feel like that. They're going to set you up for success. Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%.
And
I agree.
time, it's a decision that we make, right? People are like, oh, Heather actually used to be like this all the time. She would be late for everything. And I would totally say this if she was on the call, because we used to joke about it. And for a while, she was like, I'm just always late to everything. I've always been like that. That's just how I've always been. And then as we got more educated, personal development wise, she's like, no, that is an excuse. If I don't want to be late, I fully have the power to be on time. And one thing, Anthony, that I relate to you on so much is that I try to fit in as much possible things to the very last second to where I can't get anything else done, or I will be late. Like I'll try to see how many things I can get done in 5 minutes, and I'll wait until the very last second that I have to leave or start something else. And it causes stress and anxiety. You know what I mean? But it's just because I'm an overachiever and I want to get everything done. But what happened for me is it gave me a lot of anxiety, and mine started to manifest physically. I had like not neck problems, but just I would get really tense and tight in my neck. And it was one of my girlfriends is a massage therapist. And she was like, you know, on a scale of 1 to 10, how stressful is your job and is your life? And I'm like, oh no, it's not. I love it. Like I have so much fun. And she's like, yeah, but like, even though if you love it, you're still not taking care of yourself in the way that you need to, because you're putting this unnecessary stress on yourself. She's like, just relax. That's what she told me. She said, just relax, take a breath. And one of my coaches has taught me, it's like, what is this doing for me right now? Like I was in Kroger, this was probably over the summer, obviously pre-quarantine. I was in Kroger and I'm grocery shopping. It's a Saturday. I'm not working. And I'm pushing that grocery cart through Kroger, rushing. Like I am like freaking out that the lines are too long. I'm rushing, and I have anxiety. And I caught myself and I was like, homegirl, what are you doing? Why are you anxiety attacking in the aisle 7 at Kroger right now, trying to rush to get to the next thing that you need to do? Because the next thing that you need to do is to go home and unpack your groceries, and we're not on a time constraint for that. And so I realized that I had conditioned my brain to operate like that. And so it's like, look at what you have to do. And it's like, if I don't get all of these things done, what's the worst thing that's going to happen? You know, because for me, it's like I always felt like this looming sense of something horribly wrong is going to happen if I don't get all of this done in a 6-hour period. And it's like, really, nothing bad will happen. You know, I might have to send a message to somebody and say, hey, I'm going to be late on this, or you know, I didn't get this done on the timeline that I thought. I'll get it to you as soon as I can. Let me know if that's okay. You know, so it's just giving yourself grace and just kind of not putting so much pressure on yourself. As a fellow perfectionist, Brooke and I both know that is hard, easier said than done, right? It's just to let yourself have that space to not be perfect all the time, right? What do you think about that? Does that help you a little bit? Do you have any questions?
Yeah, no, it definitely helps. And it definitely helps for sure. I just need to
do it.
No, go ahead. No, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, like, just write everything down that you're wanting to get done in the morning and just start with that, right? Just write down the things that you know you want to do in the morning. Really be honest with yourself on how long it's going to take you. Prep for that,
Right.
Set yourself up for success, and then just start forming that habit. And all it's going to take is just doing it.
I kind of have a little
Absolutely.
bit to add on to that too, Sam. Because we talk about like allowing, you know, the time you need. To be honest with you, my mornings, I don't need as much time as I time block myself. Like I had to, and I didn't used to be a morning person, and now I am. I just kind of like made myself be that way because I just kept setting my alarm and making myself get up. And trust me, many times I snooze that sucker. But I think for me, the biggest thing is I give myself too much time, but not to where I'm going to run over. Like I know in the beginning of when I first started time blocking my mornings, I'm like, okay, well, I want to like sleep in as late as I possibly can. So if I just need 15 minutes to get ready for my workout, and then I'll do my workout for 30 minutes, and then I will do this. Well, I found myself getting behind, and then that would stress me out. And then I'm sure, as you can relate to, it bleeds into your day behind the chair. And that's no fun at all. And so for me personally, I actually block off what some would consider too much time. Like they could probably look at that and be like, you need 45 minutes to wake up and drink your pre-workout and look around and open your eyeballs. And like, yeah, I do. And so I make sure though I block that off. So, you know, it came down to me saying, well, Brooke, you're gonna have to get up earlier then, because if you're not getting up earlier, your 15 minutes of waking up and drinking your juice to get some caffeine isn't enough, because you're not getting your workout done in time. And then you are crazy rushing to work. And then I don't like when I'm not there behind the chair in enough time to process, take a breath, you know, get a drink of water, go to the bathroom before my client walks in the door. I don't like that feeling. I want to be really, really ready. And so I just found for me, I'm like, well, heck, then wake up earlier. And Sam hit on that. It does come down to a discipline thing, which I am saying to you because I'm preaching to the choir here. Like I have to tell myself over and over again, like, okay, you are, like the night before, I will get ready to set my alarm. And I'm like, you are going to get up when this goes off and you're going to do your workout because you have been wanting to do this, and you'll feel better. So for me, that's one thing. I think another thing though, that I feel like I can touch on with you and that you probably resonate with being behind the chair, especially, and this happened for me, honestly, when I was a student in Rich Life Hairstyles. It did not happen before that. I'm just telling you now, I was definitely feeling a lot more rushed when I would head to work before that. But I knew in that program, I had to set up my time blocking, and the way that I wanted to look at my book differently and the way that I wanted to start showing up even better than what I was trying to do meant I had to take time either that morning or the night before, like literally had to look at my book, prep for the day, and think about what I was going to recommend to each one of those guests, what I was going to bring to them that I had never brought. Those kind of things take time to think about, because if we just go rushing in and get behind the chair, most likely if we're feeling rushed, we're definitely going to follow the routine we've always followed. We're not going to branch off of that at all. And so for me to be better at work for me meant I had to either then in my morning with my workout, get ready, shower, breakfast, whatever, I had to throw in there, like, even if it's 10 minutes. And yes, that meant I had to get up 10 minutes earlier, which I know sometimes sucks, but it is just part of it. And so I would set that to where I'd look at that time and I would look at my book. So I was prepped and planned, and even, which, like I said, that was part of the program for me with the different things I was implementing behind the chair. But even not doing that, I think any of us stylists could agree that if we took 10 minutes in the morning to look at what our day was in front of us and to think about our guests and think about what we've been doing in the past and maybe what we could bring to them, that would not only bring us more peace and calmness because we had taken the time to do that, but it also brings you excitement. It brings you like a little bit of like, okay, I'm gonna do something different today. This is cool. It's not stagnant. It's something where you can be better. And I think that's a cool feeling. So I hope that helped you a little bit. I guess with you being behind the chair too, Anthony, tell me this. Do you feel like if you start your morning off rush, do you feel like throughout the day behind the chair that you're behind? Or is there another reason when you talk about being behind the chair and falling on time? Is there another reason that plays into that? I'm just curious because I want to help.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the way you start your day, I think, sets the overall tone. And I mean, 1,000%.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes I have a tendency to like overdo the hair. Like I'll put too many foils in, or I'll like spend too much time on the wet cut, or it's like, but what I am hearing you say is when you're in the right mindset, that you just become way more aware of all of that. So not just running out of time, say before you get to work, but being conscious and not just being unconscious through the day.
Yes, absolutely, Anthony, really. And I think another thing that I understand what you're saying, because sometimes I'll get to talking and telling stories and my hands get to doing this because that's what I do. And then I'm not working because my hands are doing this. And so time goes by a little too quick. And so I understand exactly what you're talking about with different parts of services taking longer. I think it wouldn't even hurt, and I could be wrong here, but I think you're busy as heck behind the chair. And I know that. So one thing I might suggest too is looking at how you're booking and like the times that you're booking, only because if you're finding that it's a pattern that maybe you're booking too close together and too short in time and you end up stressed every single day because of it, because you're like behind, that can be hard as stylists for us because we want to continue to literally, I mean, we want to make that amount of money that for that day like we've always thought that we would and that we're used to. But sometimes our well-being is just as important as maybe like that extra haircut that we threw on there, and I think Jessica, you can probably relate to that a lot. And so I feel like sometimes it is, and you're right with that. It's just a different way of thinking that we're looking at our book and maybe how can we book efficiently, but also efficiently means time-wise, and it means how it affects us and our well-being too. But I think self-awareness is huge for that. And you said that too. I mean, just being more mindful of it and being more self-aware, and then having this much more discipline to maybe, in the mornings, we're more prepared for that. Then I think that will help a lot. But I hope you got a lot out of that. how we,
Oh yeah, no,
Okay.
absolutely, absolutely.
okay,
Thank
good.
you both for
course.
sure.
Yay. I think, and one last thing I'm going to say, and then I'll move on to somebody else. I think coming down to time in anything, any aspect of our life, it's like, we just got to make the decision. I have 45 minutes to do this haircut. I am getting this haircut in 45 minutes. And just knowing and just holding yourself accountable to, I'm not going to run behind. I'm not going to. And then doing what you need to do. Now, are there some exceptions? Yes. If client's late, it's some toner turned out purple and hot yellow at the shampoo bowl. You've got to figure that out. Well, I guess it wouldn't be purple and hot yellow at the same time. I don't know. But there's going to be outlying situations that will occur, but for the majority of the time, we really are in control of our time. We just have to look at it like that,
Or adjust
For
it
sure.
then if it's not, right. It's like, well, then I'm going to make this person always an hour when they come in so that she's not stressed, I'm not stressed, and I do my job very well, and I do it to the extent that I want to, because you don't ever want to cut that short either. All the details and all that makes your work so beautiful. And so it's like, if you have to change the time, then we change it. I think that
Right.
helps too.
For sure.
Thank you, Anthony.
Thanks.
Alrighty. Okay, next up is Miss Dawn. Let's see if I can unmute you. There we go. Hi.
Hello.
So nice to meet you.
Same to y'all.
So Dawn, I loved, you sent over a lot of questions, and I think a lot of those, so you're a salon owner, yeah? Or do you own a salon?
I'm a manager.
Manager. Okay, and is your salon?
No, I manage a,
Oh, go ahead. I think there's a little bit of
I
a-
lost all that.
Yeah, that's okay. I think there's a lag. Is the salon that you manage, is it commission or booth rent or both?
Commission.
Commission. Okay, awesome. So a lot of the questions that you asked on, I'm going to make sure that are you in the Salon Owners Facebook group also?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Were you on that Zoom call that Heather and Professor Sharon did last 2 Fridays ago? Okay, yeah.
I think so.
Okay, cool. I'm gonna tag you in some posts in the Salon Owners group that will answer some of your questions about like the interviewing process and all of that. But the two that I did want to go over for you on the call is you asked about the digital referral program. And so the digital referral program is something that Heather created last summer, and it uses Google Forms. So if you guys have a Gmail address, like G Suite, you can I think it's free. I think that you can create a G Suite account for free and you don't have to pay for any of the apps. That's like Google Docs, Google Sheets, but Google Forms is another one. And it's basically an online form. Like if you were to get a paper, write like name, date, address, and print that out and have somebody physically write on it, it's the same thing, but it's just digital. It's just digital. You can fill it out on a laptop. You can fill it out on an iPad, on a phone, anything that's online. And so what the digital referral program is we call it the Share the Love campaign. And so how this works is you would have your stylist, or if you're yourself as a suite owner or booth renter, you would have yourself give that form to an existing guest that you have, and you would just say, this is my Share the Love campaign. I would love to have more guests in my chair like you. If you want to fill out this form, I'm going to send 2 of your friends a $50 gift certificate from me, and then you would say, like, it's basically like it gets hard for me to explain the verbiage, but it's basically you're sending that person's 2 friends a gift card, but the gift card comes from that friend. So Brooke, can you explain that a little bit better? I feel like I'm like not making sense.
Yeah, no, it's okay. It's something that on calls and stuff too, when I explain it I'm always like, okay, stick with me here, because this is it gets a little wild, but it really is like a win-win-win for everybody. That's what I always say. So whenever you have your guests behind the chair fill this out, and like Sam said, we're not going to go through all the lingo because it would be forever and ever, but you're basically going to say, I love having you come see me. Most likely your family and friends are like you, and I'd love to grow guest counts with people like you. So you'll have them, while you're doing their hair, fill this out. It's a template, like she said, in Google Forms. Now, whenever they fill this out and give you, let's say they got you their cousin, and you're like, great. So what happens is you are, like Sam said, you're going to send a gift card to her cousin, and it's on you because, you're going to be the one
Right.
giving her the $50 off of that service, or towards a service, or 25. It's different for every person, but then it is from her cousin. So everybody, number one, loves to send their friend or their sister or whoever a gift card, and they didn't have to pay for anything for it. That's fun. But then as soon as that person you reached out to comes in, not just books the appointment, but comes in to see you, the next time that guest comes in that gave you her cousin's name, she gets to pick a free product off your shelf. So, or you can kind of get creative with that. We like that way because, number one, I like that for 2 reasons. Who doesn't like free stuff? But 2, they get your product and then they like it and they keep getting your product, which is good. But so it's a win-win. You get a new guest that's just like your guest that you love. Your new guest that came in gets some money off of a service with you. You kill it, so she pre-books again. You have another guest for a long time, but then your existing guest that you love gets free product for giving you another guest that you love. So that's why I say it's kind of like a win-win-win all the way around. Of course, like we have it in Google Forms, and then we have it like auto-populate into a spreadsheet whenever, like with students in Rich Life Hairstylists, so that whenever someone fills that out in the chair, it auto-populates into the spreadsheet. And then we just have our students time block at the end of their work week, just a little bit of time. Yes, on Google Calendar, time block. We sound like broken records, but it really works. But we have you time block, and then that's when you go and follow through. We have this spreadsheet all set up for you that you know how to send the little Canva gift card that we help you create, and then you send that out with a script, and then we have you even send out a reminder text 2 weeks later, and then another reminder, because we put an expiration date on that gift card, because
Those gift cards, we recommend that you set the gift cards to expire in 3 weeks. And the reason for that is, so if you have a stylist that's, really trying to build a book quickly, instead of her posting all of her openings on her Instagram stories, she gets all these people coming in a 3-week time period, because there's that time limitation on that. So it's a faster way to build your book.
Creates a little sense of urgency for them to make it happen, so that, it's like as if we handed out a business card, someone puts it in their purse, and then a year and a half later, they're like, oh, maybe I'll call this gal for a haircut. That doesn't gain you any, momentum with an actual, like Sam said, trying to actually see them come back in at a good rate. And so that helps to create that kind of an expiration date. It also, what we really preach on too, is that a lot of times you're going to send that first text out to them with that gift card, and they're not going to say anything. And that could be for many, many reasons that don't mean no. It could be that they forgot. It could be that their kid had their phone. They didn't even see that you texted them a gift card. It could be that they have a stylist, and maybe they're like, well, you know what? I've been thinking about trying someone new, but they aren't ready to act on it. And so that's why we have the whole thing set up to where it's a lot of follow through on your end to make sure that it happens. And that's why I always say there's like 2 parts. You have to do the part in the chair of having your guest fill it out, but then you can have a gazillion names, and if you don't do the reaching out and the following through on that part, you won't see that return either. But whenever all parts are working, it's incredible. It really is.
And I will say, with the digital referral program, I think probably 60% of appointments get booked because that second text message got sent. Because what you do is you send out so what's cool about the Google Forms and everything being digital is that this form, it automatically, so let's say somebody fills out the person's first name, the last name, the phone number, the email, because some people, we have email on there because some people are weird about other people's information. So you can do phone number or email. It has a little personalized message that they can type out that they're sending the gift card to. And all of those answers automatically get put into a spreadsheet. All you have to do is click on one button, and it shows every single person's name that it got filled out. And so it helps you track, and you'll know, okay, I sent this gift certificate out on April 13th. It's going to expire, whatever 3 weeks is from today. So then 2 weeks later, after you sent that first text message and the gift card, If that new guest hasn't responded back or they haven't booked an appointment, you just follow up with the second email or text and say, hey, this is Sam from Meet Beat again. I just wanted to let you know that your gift certificate with me is about to expire next week. I would love to schedule an appointment with you. Here's my information. Talk to you soon. And like Brooke said, a lot of people will book on that second text message because A, they didn't see the text message. Maybe they thought that it was fake. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've gotten text messages from random numbers and I'm like, I'm not even going to open that because I don't know who it is. But when they get that second one, it shows them like, oh, hey, this is a human. This is real. You know, this isn't fake. And that follow through, 60% of those conversions are going to happen on that second text message because you follow through.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, the digital referral program is awesome because you have so many options. And like Brooke said, it really is a win all the way around. And the 3-week expiration, it's like, I know some people are weird about doing gift cards because it's like it's free money that you're, losing out on, but it's like those gift cards expire in 3 weeks and it's $50 or $25 or however much you want to do it. I recommend doing at least 50 just because you want it to be a bite. You want it to be worth it enough. You know what I mean? Like we wouldn't want to do like 10% off or, $10 off. It's like you want to make it as a big enough incentive for that person to say yes to come in.
Mm-hmm.
John, do you have any questions about that?
I guess really just y'all run this through your salon software and that's how the texts and emails are generated, or?
Yeah. So we
Okay.
have a program called Snip that I think that's how Meetbeat does their text messages, but Forest, the salon software that we use, it's PHOREST. They have email and text messages and all of that is run through the salon software. But if you don't have a salon software that does that, you could easily create, a salon email account on Gmail and send out the emails that way. There are some email platforms like that aren't tied to salon software that have text messages that you can send out. But even if I don't know if you have iMacs, like Apple products at the salon, like an iPad or anything like that. So maybe email would be the best way to go unless you have somebody's phone number in the salon that you trusted, like maybe you, because you're the manager or the owner's cell phone that you could send out those text messages from. That's what I would suggest for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then Dawn, your other question was suggestions for how to run the business without all the technology. And tell me what kind of technology that you're talking about with that.
So we have credit card processing. We have run everything through a cash register. But everything else I do, my paper book, paper client records, my corporate office runs my reports and gives me my numbers monthly, although I track everything day to day on paper. Any suggestions because I'm not going to get software.
Yeah.
The best thing I'm going to get is an online appointment system called Setmore, and it's really not worth having.
And is that because you're a corporate salon? Is that?
Yes.
So that's happening because they don't want you, they're not going to get that for you. And that's not something that you're going to invest in, obviously, with your own money, correct?
Right.
Okay. So when I first saw that question, I was like, you have to have technology, but you
do have to have technology. This has been my biggest stumbling block in the 2 years that I've been there.
Yeah. So Dawn, if I were you, one, I would take as much things as you can digital. Like if you have right now, you're keeping track of all of your numbers and all of your appointments and that kind of stuff, like maybe the salon's finances. I'm not sure if the corporation does that for you, but I would try to convert as much of that. Instead of you handwriting out everything on paper, I would at least try to type it out either in a spreadsheet or a document on a computer or even on your phone. That way, if something happens and those papers get lost or damaged or I don't know, anything, that you have that information backed up somewhere. And that's the only reason that I say that, is just for the safety and the protection of that information for you guys to have. And then as far as booking and with the books, it's the same thing. It's like, what happens if that gets lost? You know, what happens if, you know, God forbid, a natural disaster happens or something and that book gets wiped out? It's like, what would you do? And like your clients' phone numbers and all of that stuff. You know, and maybe if you can't invest into a software, like a salon software, using something like Google Calendar for the salon, and you could go in and block off where people's appointments are on that calendar for the week that way. That might be a suggestion that I would have, is to use some type of free calendar and just creating, you know, blocks of time as an event for, you know, each person on for that day. Now with your different stylist, you might have them create that for themselves. You know, each person creates a calendar for their own appointments, and they kind of go in and put everybody that they have on there. That's going to take some training, I think. Do you guys have a front desk person that books your appointments for you?
No.
Just everybody does their own? Yeah. And
Yeah.
that might even be a little bit, just trying to get everybody on board to do that and making sure that it's consistent. It's totally doable. It would just take you coming in with a set structure and guidelines, being like, this is what we're going to do. This is how you do it. And then just make sure that all of those stylists stay consistent with, you know, going in on their calendars. But then you would also have to have access to that.
I really think too, once even if they were a little resistant to it in the beginning, which so was I, because I literally had a paper book myself, and I'm a suite owner. I work by myself, but I did have a paper book before Pipp University. And so I was very resistant to it too, even though I knew, like, and Sam spoke very highly of it, and Heather and everyone, like, I believed them. And so I just did it. And then I realized, oh my gosh, this is wonderful. But it is free, which is awesome. The Google Calendar is. And I would think too, a lot of your stylists, just looking at it from a stylist point of view too, they would really love to even be able to pull up their Google Calendar at home and look at their book for the next day, you know, and look at that stuff. Because if it is just a paper book that's in the salon, they may not miss that now because they don't know any different. But if they got used to being able to prep a little for their day, kind of like I was telling Anthony with some of his stuff before, I think it would not only that they would like that better and find a little more peace of mind of knowing what their days entailed, but they also would be better from it. They would look at what they've got going on, and maybe kind of, you know, their wheels would get spinning about what they could offer those guests. And that's a whole nother topic, I know. But I think that, I mean, if they could open their minds to that, and like Sam said, you could set that structure up and really make it very clear that that is what your goal in mind for everyone is. And it may take some troubleshooting, as in you may try it one way and then you're like, that didn't really quite work. Let's do it to where everyone has their own, or, you know, and there may be some, because with a team of people, you know, there's different opinions and stuff. But I think if you really set that structure, I feel like if you get past the part of feeling like, I don't know what the heck I'm doing with this, and you keep trying, as long as every other stylist would too, I really think everyone would like it and would enjoy it. And it would be an option for you that, like Sam said, would be that you don't have to invest your own money because corporate won't help you there. I don't know. That's kind of my thoughts for that a little.
I think the first thing to do would be to get anything that you can that's maybe save the book for last, because that's going to be the biggest probably project, is start taking all of your handwritten records that aren't anything to do with booking and move that to a document online, either Google, like I said, Google Docs, spreadsheets is free. And y'all, I swear I have a degree in GP, and I learned everything from YouTube. If you don't know how to do a formula, if you don't know how to change the color of a cell, if you don't know how to delete a cell, if you don't know how to add a row, you literally type in, how do I X, Y, and Z in Google Sheets or Google Docs, and there is a YouTube video that will show you how to do it, and you'll figure it out. So that's what I would suggest to Dawn. And I'm just going to be the devil's advocate here. And you may have done this. If there is any way that you could reach out to corporate and be like, you know, and have never worked for a corporate, I don't know how they are, but it's just like, it's every shot that you don't take, you're always going to miss. And so it's like, what's going to hurt if you just say, hey, this is, and maybe you come to them, maybe you do your research, do your homework on a couple of different salon software booking systems. They don't have to be crazy expensive. Just do your research, weigh the pros and cons of both, and you just shoot whoever an email and say, hey, this would be really beneficial for us. I've done the research. This is how much it costs. How can we make this work? What does it need to look like for us to have this? Because I really do believe that, because it will, and I believe I'll say it, that will help your business so much if you could get a salon software system.
And maybe there are other managers too that feel the exact same way as you, you know, with that, like in your corporate, you know, to where, I don't know. I mean, like Sam said, maybe you contact a lot of them too. And maybe it would, more voices would, I don't know, maybe make something happen. I would like to think, because I would like for them to know how much better every single salon would run, and that they would want that to be the case because they are your, you know, but I know that takes a little.
The worst that they're going to say is no. I mean, nothing bad's going to happen. You know what I mean? They'll tell you no, and that'll be that. But
right.
you might say yes, you know, you could, you know, spark that, be the catalyst for the change that's going to affect all the corporate locations that are within your all's branch. So,
yeah.
But
awesome. Thanks, y'all.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for asking your questions. Let's see. Jody, Alicia, do you guys have any other questions that you want to add? We have about 5 or so minutes left over.
No, I think mine was answered. With the scheduling, I was debating bringing in a friend that has a home salon to help me get through the busy time. And I'm just trying to think if there's going to be any negatives to doing that, because she's not going to stay on. She was just going to help me get through the busy.
I think if she aligns with the culture at your salon to bring her, if that's going to help you. And then just looking at, you know, what's the vision for your company? And if you bringing her on for just a temporary amount of time, if that aligns with the vision and will support the culture, then yes. But if you have any, you know, feeling of this might cause a rift, or this might bring up some, is she going to be a regular employee, like that kind of thing, then I would consider that before you make the decision, for sure.
Okay.
I think, Jody too, well, I guess I was going to ask you what makes you worry about it? Like, is it maybe is it very clear between you and her that she would only work for like a certain period of time in your space?
Yeah.
Okay. And then she would go back to working in her home salon?
Yeah, she teaches cosmetology school, and she has a salon in her home. So the schools are closed. So she's not working. She's doing online until a certain time. So it really would just be, I'm going to be so busy. Because as I had mentioned to you, Brooke, I had another stylist there who I had to let go when this all happened. Actually, I needed to let her go before all this happened. It had nothing to do with this. But so when I come back, I'm going to be just me by myself, trying to get everybody in. Okay. And we've been closed since the 19th.
Right.
And we just got pushed to May 15th. So it's going to be a lot of people. I don't want to burn myself out trying to get everybody in.
Yes.
So that was my thought.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I understand all of that. Is one of your concerns with her possibly, because I'm just brainstorming what might be feeling, you know, like you're saying, if you have hesitancies on it, is one of them maybe that, would any of your clients, are you worried about your clients that they see her and then see you, or if they would stay seeing you? I'm just being very like open with you about this.
No, I'm not worried about that. I'm more worried about clients seeing her and then seeing her gone. And I just don't want it to look like so many, like, you know, I had the stylist for 2 years. Now she's going to be gone all of a sudden. And now I'm bringing in this other person and then she's going to be gone. And and whether I should just try because she's not going to be staying, whether I should just be focusing on getting these clients in my schedule myself. And if I can't fit them in, then we need to figure out what that looks like. I guess I'm worried too down the road if she's fitting clients in too, and then, you know, July when she needs to be done because, you know, she'll go back to her teaching starting in August and we're done, then I have all of her clients that are also looking to try to get in. So I'm afraid I'm going to set myself back up for another overload.
Yeah.
One
Go
thing-
ahead, Sam.
Yeah, I'm just going to add this, Jody, to the point that you said about worried about what your clients are going to see. Because turnover is, our clients see that, you know what I mean? Like they see different faces coming in. I would be completely honest and completely transparent with your clients. Keep them in the loop. Let them know this is, what's her name?
Cindy.
This is Cindy. Cindy is going to be here with me for the next few weeks, just helping me and accommodating all of my guests that I have been waiting to see for the last few months so that I can make sure that I'm getting you guys in, that I'm getting you the experience that you love. She is a friend of mine. She's an educator. You're going to be in great hands with her. She's going to be here helping me out until this date. That way everybody knows that this is Cindy. Cindy is here to help. And when she leaves, they're going to know that she's leaving. And so it's not weird.
Okay.
And if you can just be completely transparent with that, I think that will cut any awkward or weirdness from your guest. And then too, in that time, can you be looking for a more permanent person to come in behind her that you could bring on, you know, after July to take on those clients? That way you're not having to do all of them yourself.
That is the hope.
You're like, in the perfect world, yes.
Yeah, I'm hoping that I can find, and I do have a student that is very interested, and I'm a little hesitant to bring in somebody right out of school, but we'll see.
Because Jody, you have space for you and 2 others, correct?
Correct.
That's what I was thinking. Okay. And right now, no one's in there because you let one go.
Yeah.
Okay. That's what I was thinking. Okay. From what we
Can I
talked
just
about.
ask a question?
Yeah.
Do you work with an assistant?
No, it's just me.
So like maybe that even would be a good opportunity to like have this person that is like coming out of school come in like that kind of capacity. So that way you're not then giving a bunch of money essentially to Cindy and a bunch of your clients, and you're able to be more productive and still keep this and be kind of seeing this assistant, the student, how capable they are to be a stylist in your space.
I like that. I have asked what she would be able to do. So far, the response is she can't touch clients at all. But she would be able to like sweep, and she can't shampoo, she can't blow dry, she can't do anything.
So maybe that would be also to be like, I would imagine if you let somebody go, there's probably a big opportunity in this time, in this space that we're in, for that other people are in that position too. And maybe they left a place because it wasn't the whole culture or alignment for them, but they might be the right fit for you.
Right.
We can still be doing like virtual interviewing or connecting with people and seeing if they would be a fit for our culture. And maybe you look for somebody that is a little bit higher in level than that person is. They're able to shampoo, they're able to, you know, do a blowout or apply a single process. So that way they're able to give you a little bit more assistance, but it's not like hiring a full commission stylist or a full, you know, like somebody who's getting such a hefty paycheck that's going to then be cutting you kind of down a little bit too.
Right. Okay.
So good.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Thank you, Alicia. That was amazing.
Thank you.
Amazing. Awesome.
Yeah, that's really good.
Alicia, did you have any other questions or any other words of brilliance that you would like to?
I have a lot of, I guess my thing that I'm trying to work on the most throughout this experience is like execution and just like a lot of ideas and things, but then like moving through that and really like kind of making things happen and trying to stay connected with people. I have like I'm young, but I also have like a younger team too that are doing these amazing like TikTok videos and IGTVs, and they're so talented. And I find it's so overwhelming and all consuming trying to figure out how to navigate these new platforms and like how to edit videos. And so I'm like, meh, screw it. And then it just doesn't wind up happening because it's so, you need like to go to college to like learn how to edit a video.
Yeah.
And
Oh my
these
gosh.
girls are incredible and amazing at it. And
I
I
can so
want to also show up in a way where like I can continue to be a leader for them. So I need to be at least doing what they're doing, if not like trying to push myself even further. So it's just execution, I think.
Yeah. One thing that I want to point on is, and then I'll get into the other half of it, is if you can, so there's massive action and we have passive action. Passive action is like us listening to a podcast or watching a YouTube video on how to make a TikTok. That's passive action. We're learning and we're consuming content or information. Massive action is when we sit down and you get on your phone and you set your phone up on a tripod and you make a TikTok dance video. That's massive action. Or you getting in iMovie or a software that you had that you downloaded on your phone or your computer and trying to figure out how to edit that video so that by the time, let's say you give yourself an hour, at the end of that hour, you have a tangible result produced. And so when you look at, let's say that you wanted to create, you know, an IGTV, like an IG, I can never say IGTV video, IGTV video on a tutorial or marketing something and post that on your Instagram. Do your research, give yourself, 30 minutes to kind of figure out what you want to do, brainstorm a list of ideas, and then, give yourself 2 hours to where you're not distracted by anything else. And by the end of that 2 hours, you know that no matter what you have to do, you're going to have that video created and done. And this is the thing about massive action. It's doing it over and over and over again, even when you fail, even when you mess up, even when you don't know how, and not giving up until you have that result that you want, And with, when you said you feel like you have to have a college degree, I said this a little bit earlier. I didn't know how to do any of the stuff that I know how to do right now, 6 months ago, a year ago. And I literally just Googled and YouTubed all of it. It's like anything that you want to figure out how to do, it is a how do I do this question away in your search engine. And now it may take you some time to find the right video for the platform that you're wanting you to practice and you to get good at it. But one of my favorite things that my coach has ever told me is she said, B- work is better than no work.
Right.
B- work. It's like, I'm such a perfectionist. And when she told me that, I was like, I can't turn this in, or not turn it in, because it's to my boss, Heather. I can't turn this copy in. I can't turn this email in as a final draft because it's not an A. It's not good enough. I can do better than this. And then Brooke, my coach, told me, B- work. B- work. It's better to turn something in that's B- than to not turn anything in at all, because then you can go back and revise it, you know? And you practicing and making these videos, because I edit all of Pip University's videos. And in August 2018, I had never edited a video in my entire life, ever, except for on the iPhone when you hit the edit button and you drag your fingers to cut stuff out. And now I can, it took me a year, but it didn't take me that long to get the first one done. Like I can see that my skills have improved. But if you practice and you just get in there and like make it fun, like you said, like you're like, I feel like I should be this, or I feel like I should at least be as good as them. And it's like, why though? Like that's let them do that, and you do what you like and get excited about it. It's like, just because everybody else is doing IGTV videos, there I go again, and TikTok videos, it's like, if that's not something that's going to be fun for you to do, it's going to suck the life out of you to do. It's like, well, what do you enjoy doing that you could do that would be fun for you?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And maybe it is learning. I learned how to do a TikTok and I had fun, and it was horrible, but I had fun doing it. You know what I mean? And it's like, look at what brings you joy and like what aligns to you, and not necessarily compare yourself to what everybody else is doing. Now, unless you feel like that is something that unless your why really is to, I want to get good at making TikTok videos and editing, then I would say go for it. but make sure
Well,
that
I think just show up professionally. Like everything is moving, like everything's digital, and all of our touch points with people, especially now when we're all home, is like, people seeing you online, and like if you're not there, then have they forgotten? So I think that is it for me too, just like offering value to my clients while I'm home,
Totally.
and making sure that they're, like they feel connection, and that, they know that they can reach out with questions. I mean, like I literally went through my schedule for the last like 2 months and wrote down everybody's name and went and found them on Facebook and just added them. And the amount of just like messages I got from people, I wound up like, texting this woman a link to clip-in hair extensions, and I posted a video of me taking out my own tape-in extensions just so that way, like, they're not ruining their hair at home.
Mm-hmm.
It's like things like that. It's like, I don't need to do a TikTok dance video.
No.
I don't care about that.
Alicia.
But offering value,
Yes.
like I think I have to do that. I have to show up in that space in order to make sure that they're still connected to me.
I have to add this because I understand absolutely everything you're saying. And I too scroll on Instagram and I'm like, how'd they do that? And how'd they make that video? And I want to remind you this, because I know I feel exactly where your heart is, because I feel it right now too, about a disconnect from my clients. And you really freaking care about them, so like you're thinking about them and you hope they're doing okay. One of the coolest things you can do is literally, and I don't know if because I know you said you went and found them on Facebook. Do you have their phone numbers?
I could get them.
Honestly, if you can spend even 30 minutes and just say you're going to call 5 of them. And I know that can kind of be like, I'm going to call them. That's a little weird. If we really want to reach out to them, or like what I did was I got on and I did voice messages like, hey, Amy, how are you? I'm just saying I miss you. Like literally, Amy, I did send her a voice message the other day, and that's why she popped up in my head. Like, I really miss you. I miss seeing you every 2 weeks. How are you doing? How's your new puppy? I saw you have a new puppy on Facebook. Like, doesn't even have to be about hair. I can almost guarantee you, half the reason they come see you is because of you.
Right.
And yes, I have no doubt you do awesome technical work, but honestly, a big part of it is just their connection to you. And so I asked her, if she needed product, and I let her know I'd take care of her that way. We talked so much more about her new puppy and her husband's job and what trip they're going to take and, the fall. I mean, we talked so much more just about life, but that's what happens when they're behind, when you're behind the chair with them. So I think that sounds so simple, but honestly, the part about connection, they just want to hear you. I mean, and they don't want you to be something different than you are either. I'm not saying that we don't need to continue to try to grow in what we do and maybe branch out and stretch our comfort zones a little and learn. But man, they just care about you. And if what is genuine to you is just giving them a call and saying, hey, Amy, it's Alicia, how are you? I know this is random, but I miss you. How are you doing? What can I do to help you? If you need product, let me know. But you guys may talk for 20 minutes about her dog or her kid or your kid, and that'll fill you up so much in your heart too, that I think you'll find you spend so much less time about like thinking about comparing on like the social media aspect, as you're just going to be so filled up and you're going to be so excited then to see them again behind the chair. I think it'll take your focus into more of a positive place too, if that makes sense.
Definitely.
Okay, good.
And I think too, like I would so much rather, because I don't have one hairstylist, because obviously at the salon, Danielle does my hair. But if I was a real guest, if I was a real guest at a salon, I would so much rather my hairstylist call me up or send me a voice text message or just shoot me a regular text message and be like, hey girl, I miss you. How's it going? Than me seeing her doing a TikTok video on Instagram. I'll like the TikTok video, but that connection is going to be way stronger than me connecting, like how Brooke said. I think that's.
And a lot of people aren't on Instagram or Facebook too. And the algorithm, like, you don't even know if they'll see it. So we put it out there because we spent so much time and energy on making it and getting it out there. We don't even know who actually will see it. And if half of our guests will, maybe a lot of our friends from college will see it, but that's not really, if why we're doing it is to connect, then man, we could just pick up that phone and be like, hey, I miss you. And that is like as direct of a connection right now as you can get.
Right.
besides like FaceTime or Zoom, like we're all doing. But I think that's important.
That was
Yeah.
a good question.
Yeah, very good question.
But if I see any TikTok videos from you, I'm definitely going to like it.
I won't be dancing, that's for sure.
Oh,
Well, if it makes you feel any better, I'm still learning too, and I look like a big dumb idiot, but I think it's fun. So
If you're having fun, then
that's all that matters.
right.
Thank you all so much. I am so glad that we got to connect like this. I think that if this is something of, I'm going to unmute everybody. If this is something that's of value to you guys, and this is, you feel like these Zoom calls, even when we go back to whatever the new normal is going to be, you know, if you guys feel like these Zoom calls are beneficial for you, I would love to do one, you know, every now and then if we have enough people that are interested that we could, you know, get questions from, and then have a Zoom call like we did, bring people on to ask and kind of just have a discussion. But yeah, please let me know if this is something that you guys would think would be beneficial, that would add value. Obviously, I don't want to waste anybody's time, but I love doing stuff like this. So.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
I think it's great.
I appreciate all of you so much too, as a stylist. I know that we're on here, you know, to answer some of your questions and things like that, but I take so much from this myself, with all of you and all of the insight that you have. Like, all of you have your own brilliance too, whether you believe it or not. You better, but you do. And that's what we feel the same, getting this from you. And so, especially during this time where we have very little contact with people, period. So I just want to thank each one of you, especially too, for taking the time today to do this and to make sure that you knew what time it was and to click the link and to be on here, because it really does mean a lot to me. And I think I can say that for Sam too.
You can.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you guys so much. We'll send out the replay of this in an email somehow or post it in the group. So we'll get that together and let you guys know when that gets sent out.
Okay.
Thank you.
Great.
Thank
Thank
you.
you guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks, y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you.